Okay, so I just want to get something out of the way. I normally don't review kitchen tech on my channel. Blenders just aren't that exciting. That is until I got the NutriBullet. And after trying this blender out for a while, I think it's worthy of a video. So let's go ahead and start off by showing you what comes in the box. So as you can see, it comes with a really nice recipe book, and I've looked at some of the recipes in here. They're actually pretty good. I haven't made them yet, but they look pretty tasty. Then it comes with a huge 45-ounce mug, beer mug I guess you'd call it. It's big. This is what I use to make my shakes. And it's really nice to have the extra room so it doesn't overflow. It also comes with two 30-ounce mugs with handles. These all have handles. It comes with a 1-liter soup mug jar with a 2-piece top. This is strictly for making soups. It comes with 2 of these lip rings. I don't know if that's the official name, but that's what I call them. These will actually go on top of the mugs. They screw on and then you can drink out of them, so it gives you a nice smooth surface. It comes with the extractor blade. I'll give you a shot of that gear. It's actually really beefy. It comes with a blade removal tool, and the way this works is it just locks into the blade, and then when your cup's on top, it helps you to tighten and loosen the cups from the actual blade, because you want these pretty tight when you're using the blender. It also comes with a blade cleaning brush. It's kind of nice. It comes with a resealable lid, just one. And then we have the 1700 watt 2.3 horsepower motor. And in my opinion, this is the most important part of this product, because basically if this motor burns up, then this stuff is almost worthless. You know, then you just got a bunch of plastic cups. And I almost forgot, you also get a user's guide. Has some recipes, tells you how to clean everything and operate the unit. Okay, so I went ahead and set up some of the blenders that I own. Starting from the left is, I believe, the original Magic Bullet. Next to that is the 600 watt version of the NutriBullet. And then the new NutriBullet RX. And to the far right is the BlendTech blender, which I think is one of the best blenders you can buy, period. In fact, if you haven't heard of the BlendTech, I suggest you go on YouTube and do a search for a series called Will It Blend, because they literally take Nike tennis shoes and cell phones, and that blender will blend them. So it's pretty incredible. But anyway, I just wanted to set these up so you could kind of get a feel for the size difference between the 3 NutriBullets and then an actual blender. Now, if you're wondering why I would buy all these blenders, the reason is I work out like a lot of people, and after my workouts I enjoy having a protein shake smoothie. And you know, I've always went out and spent $40 to $80 on blenders, and because of the type of shakes I make, I put a lot of ice in them. They last 6 months to a year and they burn up. That's why I say the most important part of a blender is the motor. So anyway, after spending I don't know how much money on junk blenders, I decided to buy the BlendTech. And I believe that was about $280 when I bought it. I've had that probably 7 or 8 years. So, you know, that was a good chunk of change for a blender, but I've never been disappointed with it. The only thing I noticed is if you blend too long, it'll kind of melt your ice, and you won't have a smoothie type consistency anymore. It'll be more watery. Now, I was totally happy with my BlendTech, but my wife didn't like using it. She said it was too heavy and just too inconvenient. So she bought a Magic Bullet, which was the first small one on the left. She started using that, and you know, I thought, man, that's too small and wimpy for me. That's not going to do anything. And you know, it's good for mixing up vegetables or making fruit drinks. You can put a couple cubes of ice in there and it bogs down. But you know, it works. and it's still going. So then she went and bought the 600 watt NutriBullet, and one day I didn't feel like pulling my BlendTech out, so I grabbed it and I used it. I'm like, hey, well, this isn't bad. It blended up my smoothie pretty good, and like I said, it did the job. But the one thing I noticed is if I put too much ice in it, it would bog the motor down so much that after a while, if I kept running it trying to chop the ice up, it would literally blow the thermal switch inside, which would shut the motor down until it cooled off enough to where the thermal switch would turn back on. So, but because I liked it, I kept using it. I kind of used the BlendTech less and less. And after about a year and a half of using it, the thermal switch finally wouldn't turn back on. So I ended up buying a new motor, which is the one we have here. And that's one thing I have to say about NutriBullet is if your motor goes out, you can just buy a new motor. I think I paid $35 for the new motor. So it's a lot less than having to buy the whole kit with all the new cups and everything. So anyway, long story short, I've had this motor on the 600 watt NutriBullet going on about 2 years. It's running less and less, and it's kicking the thermal switch a lot faster. So I know it's dying. So that's what prompted me to buy the bigger NutriBullet. When I saw that big motor, I knew that thing just had to be better than the smaller motors. So not only did they come out with a much better and bigger motor, they've also changed the way the NutriBullet works. So for one thing, the old NutriBullets, you can see here, they have these little slots. There's 3 of them. And the way it worked is there's supposed to be tabs on the cups. Well, my tabs all broke off. So I was literally using a pair of scissors to turn the motor on this old version. So to me, that was one thing that I was glad to see that they changed, was those little tabs. Another thing they changed was the gear system. So on the old ones, they used rubber gears on the blade part, and then on the NutriBullet, the motor, there's plastic gears inside. I'm not going to show you that because it's a little funky. I've used this thing a ton. But anyway, on the new NutriBullets, like I showed you earlier, they have a huge gear. And that fits into another metal gear instead of the motor assembly. So that's a much better system to drive the blades than the plastic. So another thing I wanted to show you is they've rubberized this whole inside, so it's going to make it a lot easier to clean. You're not going to get a bunch of junk sticking to it, and if it does, it'll clean right off. It has these 2 little switches here that are pressed down when you put the blade assembly in, and they've also added an external on-off switch right here. What you're supposed to do is leave it on, and then when you put the cup in, once it seats, it'll turn on, and it'll run for a minute, and then it'll slow down, and then it'll run for another minute. I made a smoothie in this cup, and I had this much ice in it, and all my other protein and things I put in my shake, and within a minute, it blended the smoothest shake I've ever had, better than the BlendTech. So I'm pretty impressed with this NutriBullet RX so far. Okay, so now it's time for a blend off between the BlendTech and the NutriBullet RX. What I've done is I took the NutriBullet mug, I filled it up to the max, dumped it into the BlendTech, and then I did it again. I filled it up to the max. I'm going to try to start these both at the same time or as close to it, but I'm going to let them run for about a minute and see if one blended better than the other, if they're about the same. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I couldn't get the BlendTech to start right away. I haven't used it for a while. What happened here was the ice just kind of, I don't know if there's not enough water in there or what, but it was just kind of spinning like there was no air. So I'm going to go ahead and start it again and the BlendTech and see. Okay, so what's happening is there's air, it's pushing everything up and it's just spinning. So I probably have too much ice. They both actually did a really good job with the ice. If you had more liquid in there, it probably wouldn't have formed that air pocket. You can see the air pocket it formed, but it's like slush. I mean, it did a good job. I think the BlendTech might have done a little better, but it actually looks a little chunkier. So, now like I said, the NutriBullet really gets things down to a very smooth consistency, and this is exactly kind of what I expected, that the BlendTech, it'll blend it, it's got the power. The NutriBullet just blends things smoother. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. One thing I will say is this is way louder than the BlendTech. You probably can't tell on camera, but the NutriBullet RX is very loud. I can't imagine running this for 7 minutes making soup. It'd drive me crazy. You'd have to wear earplugs. But, you know, for a smoothie, it's tolerable. And to me, it's easier to use this than the BlendTech. Now, if you want to, you know, blend up a tennis shoe or something, this is the boy right here. This is the beast. But I think I'm going to really like this blender. And for just making smoothies and shakes, it's perfect. So that's going to wrap it up. You know, this probably wasn't a great comparison for the power, but it does show you that it'll take ice, it'll turn it into slush, and that's what you want when you're making a smoothie. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have an awesome day.